two announcements. One about the COVID situation. As you all of know, there are a lot of cases here in Los Angeles, so we try to make it safe for everyone. Please follow the instructions, having the mask all the time, and as much as possible spacing throughout the program. And inshallah, we're going to be safe for everyone. Second one, following up on the notes we had with the Sheikh Razavian about the homes between the two namaz we had. And Hajj Kazim mentioned to me that they had permission from 8 of the Maraja that you can pay your homes for this masjid. Again, you have to make sure your Maraja accept that. But in case you can do that, it's very great opportunity to have your donations for the masjid. There are a lot of expenses that need support from all of us. That was the second announcement. And regarding the program tonight, first we're going to enjoy the lecture again by Sheikh Razavian. We're very happy to have him again, and as always, I enjoy, and I know a lot of people enjoy, and inshallah you can have questions if you have any question after the program, or he's going to be with us after the whole program too, in case you want to have a personal conversation with him. That'll be available as well. We have a special program for ladies, so because of that, 2 of the ladies, sisters, decided to moderate the program. Sister Mina and Sister Zahra were going to come here. They're going to have poetry and a special program for mothers and all ladies, actually. So we're going to follow with that. And after that, we're going to have Mauludi by Brother Zakir, inshallah. That would be the program, and followed by dinner, inshallah. I'm not sure, Hajj Kazim, we're going to have in the hall or to go? To-go boxes again because of the COVID situation. Without further ado, let me invite our Sheikh Razavian for the speech with the loud salawat, Allah Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Oh, sorry about that. I missed the most important part about the Quran. First, we're going to start with the Quran, and then after that, we're going to follow by the lecture. Sorry about that. Please, loud salawat to Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
علیکم و رحمت الله. من با اجازهتون صفحه 77 سورة النساء رو قرائت میکنم. اجماعاً صلوات عنایت بفرمایید. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا وآتوا اليتامى أموالهم ولا تتبدلوا الخبيث بالطيب ولا تأكلوا أموالهم إلى أموالكم إنه كان حوبا كبيرا وإن خفتم ألا تقسطوا في اليتامى فانكحوا ما طاب لكم من النساء مثنى وثلاث ورباع فإن خفتم ألا تعدلوا فواحدة فإن خفتم ألا تعدلوا فواحدة أو ما ملكت أيمانكم ذلك أدنى ألا تعولوا وآتوا النساء صدقاتهن نحلة فإن طبن لكم عن شيء منه نفسا فكلوه هنيئا مريئا ولا تؤتوا السفهاء أموالكم التي جعل الله لكم قياما وارزقوهم جعل الله لكم قياما وارزقوهم فيها واكسوهم وقولوا لهم قولا معروفا صدق الله العظيم.
another salawat for the health of himself and his family. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد جل فرجهم. Let's invite Hujjatul Islam Razavian for the lecture, inshallah, followed by program that we're going to have with the ladies, and inshallah after that with the Mauludi. Please recite aloud salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وَلَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَىٰ أَعْدَائِهِمْ إِلَىٰ قِيَوْمِ يَوْمِ الدِّينِ. I congratulate everyone for the wiladat of the birth anniversary of Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, and especially the sisters, because it is the Women's Day. It is the day that we also celebrate when we celebrate the most perfect of women. We also celebrate in general and recognize the position of ladies in Islam, and especially we congratulate all the sisters, especially our mothers, inshallah. And I sincerely send all of you my congratulations. And it is, alhamdulillah, a blessing to be here and to be here together and be able to celebrate such an important occasion. As we know, there are many things to get from Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. And we know that she is very benevolent and she is very kind. She would think of her neighbors first before even her own family. Al-jar thumma ad-dar. So I'm sure that every one of you, I wish every one of you, all those hawa'ij and all those du'as that you want answered, that tonight you will get it, inshallah. You will get a nice Eidi from Fatima Zahra alayhi salam and from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, her father, inshallah. Let's recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa jafarju. If you wanted to talk about the life of such an esteemed lady, such a holy lady, unique, unparalleled, no lady is like Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. Where would you start? How would you start talking about her? Someone would probably start about, when she was born. But the life of the infallibles, there's a chapter you can say before they come to this earth. And we have to understand what position they had. As we read in this ziyarat, she was tested by Allah before she was created. She was tested by Allah before she was created, and Allah saw that she is sabir. Allah saw that she is patient, and then brought her to this world. So you see in the ziyarat that we have about her, that Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam were Nur and Anwar. The family of the Prophet was Khalaqakumullah Anwaran. They were Nur and light. Faja'alakum bi'arshihi muhtaqeen. They were around the throne of God. And then God brings His favor upon us. Hatta manna alayna bikum. And Allah brings and gives us minnat, meaning that they are so great, as if we can say we don't even deserve them. The normal creation does not deserve Ahlul Bayt, does not deserve such high levels of guidance, and that they for us to be created. So when you want to talk about the life of Lady Fatima Zahra, You have to talk about how Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam were around the throne of the Arsh of God. And then you see how in Bihar al-Anwar there's an amazing hadith of how Allah prepares for her to even come to this world. I don't know if you here have heard of the story of how angels come to the Prophet of Islam in order to inform him of this good news, this great news, this gift. This is how Lady Fatima was going to come to this world. Because we said the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are Anwar, they're Noor. Around the Arsh of God, now they want to come to this world. It's going to be something very special. And the hadith has it. The Prophet of Islam, for about 40 nights, 40 days, commanded to separate himself from his wife, from Lady Khadija in hadith. And commanded to fast and to worship God for this 40-day period, preparing himself. And then what happens is that he informs his wife, because Lady Khadija loved the Prophet of Islam, not to be upset that this is a command of God that I am separate from you. And maybe to even increase their love even more because of the separation. So 40 days they're separate from each other, and the hadith has it. And then it's time. O Muhammad, the exalted, most exalted sends his peace upon you and commands you to be prepared for a salutation and gift. Be prepared, you're going to receive a gift now. And Jibreel comes. And what is the Lord of the world's gifts and what is his salutation? Jibreel said, I have no knowledge of it. At that moment, Mikael descended with a plate covered of food. So the Prophet of Islam gets heavenly food. You see Angel Jibreel come, Angel Mikael come, and bring the food. Imam Ali alayhi salam was there. But this food that comes from the Prophet of Islam, even though his house, he would leave the doors where he was open, so whoever wanted could come and have iftar. But tonight is going to be different because tonight he's going to have a very specific meal for himself. This is a meal that the angels come. And he cannot share this meal with anybody. And he shares this meal with nobody, and he is going to break the fast. When he's finished eating and he has water, Mikael washes his hands, Israfil dries them, Jibreel pours water, and he's commanded to go towards Lady Khadija. This is the way that Lady Fatima alayhi salam is going to be coming to this world. So about months later, about a year later, 9 months later, now we see in tradition that it is time for actually Lady Khadija to deliver. It is the due date of for Lady Fatima Zahra. And now the Meccan ladies are not helping Lady Khadija anymore. They're leaving her alone. Because they're saying, why did she marry? She was such a rich person. She was such a recognized person in our society. Why did she marry an orphan? Why did she marry this person called Muhammad? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Just like many people that only value things of monetary and financial things. So they had this criticism. So they left her alone. And you see in hadith how beautiful it is that when you are for Allah, Allah protects you and Allah gives you honor. And you see for her, different ladies come. Zahra, the wife of Prophet Ibrahim. Asiya bint Muzahim comes. Maryam bint Imran comes. Kunthum, the sister of Musa, come. They come to help her. In such a night, imagine, take yourselves to Mecca around 1400 years ago. These 4 holy ladies are coming to help Lady Khadija because someone very special is going to be born. When Allah wants to make us realize the importance of someone, when they are born, He has miraculous events happen. Like Imam Ali alayhi salam being born in the Kaaba, for example. So the people can recognize that a very important person is going to come, unparalleled. And also when Lady Fatima alayhi salam is born, in tradition these 4 ladies come. And then we have, she is born, Fatima gets born, tahiratan, mutahharatan. And light fills Mecca. Light fills the homes. Nur comes. It's a special light. Her name is Zahra. So when she comes in this world, light fills the homes of Mecca. And then she begins to say salam. She says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. She does shahadatain. Speaking, Isa alayhi salam spoke when he was born. She does shahadatain. Wa anna abi Rasulullah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wajil farajahum. Seyyed al-Anbiya, bearing witness to Tawheed, bearing witness to Rasalat, and bearing witness to Walayat, that same Walayat that she will give her life for. Bearing witness, وَأَنَّا بَعْلِي سَيِّدَ الْأُوصِيَا. Because they have knowledge. As I said, they are the best of creation. وَوُلْدِي سَادَاتُ الْأَسْبَاطِ. She knew that Hassan and Hussein will be imams, and knowing that Imam Mahdi will be from her progeny. So that is the way that Lady Fatima alayhi salam, when you want to talk about such a lady, we have to observe honor, and we have to observe this sequential order, that she was very, in a certain way, that she was respected, of course, by the angels and by these four ladies, and she says salams to them. But when one to learn from the life of her, and she is a role model for all of us, not only for women. You look at some of her statements that she has, and tonight we're going to expound upon, two statements that she had, the beautiful khutbah that she had. One of her statements is this, and she explains, why people left Imam Ali. She explains. We always are wondering what happened to Medina, that 100 days before we have Hadith Qadir. We have so many hadith about Ahlul Bayt from the Prophet of Islam, so many verses of Quran about them. What happened to the people of Medina? What happened that they suddenly betrayed Imam Ali alayhi salam? They betrayed Zahra, the daughter of Rasulullah. What happened? She says this in the khutbah, Ma'ashir al-Muslimin al-Musra'ata ila qil al-Batil. Oh, people who rush towards uttering falsehood. One of the things that people did, and she's saying the cause of misguidance in society, and we're trying to learn lessons from the life of Fatima Zahra, is that people rushed towards uttering falsehood. This is one of the reasons why they were misguided. For example, they would say the prophets do not inherit, and people believe this falsehood. Or they thought that having Saqifa, they would have an ability to have a government, and leaving Ghadir and Nusus and Hadith away. So people, from repetitively hearing things over and over and over, they slowly start to accept falsehood. And this is a danger, a very dangerous thing that the common person can have. You can have a prophet teach you 23 years, but after false advertisement, misinformation, you can begin to completely believe in something else. Because we're talking about the masses, the regular people of Medina, people that would see Rasulullah, see Ahlul Bayt with their own eyes, that they were misinformed. They rushed towards qil al-batil. They didn't have the ability, the intellectual ability to be able to decipher between right and wrong. And that is a dangerous thing. That is why our ulama and akhlaq tell us all the time to make sure your mental capability, your ability to distinguish right and wrong is sufficient, that you have enough knowledge, you have enough wisdom, that you study enough, you ponder enough, so that you have the ability to distinguish what is right and what is wrong. So therefore, from here we understand the importance that Lady Fatima gave to her society, how much she loved her society, how much she loved people. You see in the dua, al-jar thumma ad-dar, meaning she would pray for her neighbor before praying for her own household. And we're going to give more examples from the life of Fatima Zahra, that a true Muslim is one that cares about their society. A true Muslim is not one that just worships and renews their recitation of all of Mafatih al-Janan, but forgets about people, forgets about their guidance, forgets about what to do. We're living in a time, you can compare it to like Mecca. and how the Prophet of Islam was in Mecca was the early stages. We're talking about early stages of Islam in this country. But does that mean that we all have to run and hide and only think about ourselves? No. One of the best ways for us to think about our society, when you look at Islam and you see the obligations that we have, and you see, for example, one instruction which is commanding the good and enjoining good and forbidding evil, compared to all other wajibats, they are like a drop compared to an ocean. Amr ma'ruf is an ocean. But how can we do this? How can we reform society together? That is the answer. Through the center, through programs that we have, we make our community strong. When you make your community strong, you have a strong base. You have places that your children come, they get educated. You have places, schools that your children become and retain their religion. Then you can grow. If you do not have these bases, these sanctuaries, places where people can save themselves, then you will notice in second generation, third generation, there will be no more Islam in the U.S. So for us, we have to think as Muslims, we have to think ahead. You have to care about your society. She gave her life for her society. She gave her life for Walayat of Ali because the people were not accepting it. She could have stayed at home and prayed and done worship and done sadaqah and fasted. But we understand from this that Islam, as spiritual it is, as intellectual it is also social. And that you have to be able to, when you come to social obligations, fulfill them as well. Shaykh Mutahari gives examples of this. People that are not balanced. And that is one of the problems we have. People, they worship so much, they read so much, but when they stay quiet. When it comes to wrong, they stay quiet. Why is this so? One of the reasons is sometimes it's very challenging for us to reform society, to go against mainstream. Sometimes it's very difficult to speak out. We're ready to do everything. You tell me I'll do 2 more rakats of prayer, 4 rakats, I'll do 100 rakats. Don't make me speak to someone, don't make me speak or present this in class. Don't make me, if I see wrong, don't allow me, to go against them. It's hard for me. And it's obvious. Sometimes we're afraid to go against, the norms of society. But this is our obligation. But I said the easy way to do this is to do this together. You see, for example, Hussein Day, days that we march for Islam, it's so much easier when you're collectively coming out in society together in masses, and you're remembering, causing people to remember and to know who Imam Hussein alayhi salam is, compared to me one day just walking in the street and saying Ya Hussein alone in the street. It wouldn't be effective. It would be much scarier for me, for example. So therefore, a lot of times we get this power that we have together in jama'at, and that is how Islam is. You pray together, you have programs together, you visit each other, and you have unity. You build a very strong bond. So much so that even says sometimes, the hadith says that your wallets are linked together. That you want to spend money, it's as if it doesn't matter. I don't have now, I take from my brother's money. He doesn't have enough. One of our ulama came to our school once and he says, does that mean that you said this hadith, that means that we can stick our hand in your pockets whenever you want? He said, yes, you can, but you're not going to find anything in this pocket. You won't find anything in it. So this is the unity that you're talking about, that the hadith says if you're not willing to share each other's wealth, to support each other, then how are you willing to shed blood, for example? So this is the obligations that we have, and Shaykh Mutahari talks about this. Like a person that is not a person that focuses on one aspect of Islam. It's as if they focus just, for example, on their nose, on their eyes, and it looks like a cartoon at the end. They have big ears. Because Islam, all of it has been meant to be able to practice fully. And that is how Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam lived life. They were the best worshippers, they were the best fathers, mothers, and also they were the best neighbors, and also they were the best champions for civil rights, to help people, to gain and give rights back to the mustad'afin and those that were weak. Because eventually we're on the mustad'afin, they will inherit the earth. the Imams that are mustadaf. Al-Maghdiya ala al-fi'l al-qabih al-khasir. And the second thing that causes we want to learn hikmah and wisdom from Lady Fatima Zahra. We want to become like her. It's nice to celebrate and we remember her and cry for her during her celebrations. But what is more important is becoming Fatimi. It's having that courage to be Fatimi and becoming followers, true followers of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. And people of Mecca, of Medina, are indifferent to disgraceful and losing actions. Al-Mughdiya, they turned their head when they saw disgrace. And this was disgrace. Do you see Ali alayhi salam, tied up and dragged in the streets? The people of Medina looked the other way. Fatima Zahra is giving one of the most important speeches in history of mankind. The daughter of Rasulullah, after her father passes away, and the people of Mecca do not rise to come to her support. They come and enter her house, and she is the daughter of Rasulullah. She is pregnant at that time. They do terrible, crimes, disgraceful actions, but the people were indifferent. Sometimes it breaks our heart to hear this. They would say that Fatima Zahra is crying too much. Take her to another place, and she made Baytul Ahsan, a place that was farther away from people, so because they were tired of her crying. And this crying was obviously to wake people up. So you see, brothers and sisters, sometimes that Islam that we think about in our minds is much different than that Islam we learn from Ahlul Bayt, we learn from the Quran. Is that you have to, even if you don't have the power to do this, you have to have a plan. You have to have intention. That I am going to command the good, I am going to enjoin good. Yes, and each situation is different, I agree. Each situation, each person is different. One of my friends, when he was trying to teach some of his non-Muslim friends about Islam, he just gave to him the Risala, the entire Islamic law book. He said, this is Islam, read this if you want to know. With thousands of laws. So that's not appropriate for that person. How is he going to act upon all of these legal rulings? He's not even Muslim. So you have to find with wisdom and strategy the best way, but you have to, as people that have, wherever you are, it doesn't matter if you're in a Muslim country or non-Muslim, can a person be indifferent to their society? Can a person not care and just sit at their homes all the time? And see, imagine if we were in Medina, at that time, what would we do? So we're learning from Fatima Zahra how to be a true Muslim, how to be a complete Muslim. And we said, like Shaykh Mutahari said, you want all aspects, your nose to be balanced, your ears to be balanced, your eyes, all to be in scale. Not to have, and focus on one aspect of religion. So therefore, we see that we have a lot of things, and if you want to gauge yourself and to see how much of a good Muslim you are, you also look at this aspect. How much are you worried about society? How much are you thinking about Imam Mahdi to come back? How much are you working for him? How much are you sacrificing for him? A lot of times we say Imam Mahdi, Abbas Saleh, Hujjat ibn al-Hasan come back. But we ask ourselves, what are we doing during his occultation? How are we reforming society? Didn't Allah preserve Imam Mahdi and put him in occultation to protect him? Didn't Allah do this because society was not ready? Then how come we are not preparing society for his arrival? Isn't this the number one duty we have in our lives? So therefore, from the life of Sayyidah Fatima, you see, as much as she was a caring mother, she cared and fed people, we're going to give examples, but she was very careful about her society and cared about her society. She wanted them to be educated, she wanted them to grow, she wanted them to have completion of religion. When you look at some of the hadith and you see how strong a person should be, a Muslim should be very strong. And again, we said in Jama'at, a lot of times our children gain more, self-confidence. Look at this hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam. To Jabir Ju'fi, one of the narrators that has thousands of hadith, many of the secrets of Ahlul Bayt, Jabir Yazid Ju'fi had. وَأَعْلَمْ بِأَنَّكَ لَا تَكُونَ لَنَا وَلِيًّا حَتَّى لَوْ اجْتَمَعَ عَلَيْكَ أَهْلُ مِصْرِكَ وَقَالُوا إِنَّكَ رَجُلٌ سُوءٌ لَمْ يَحْزُنْكَ ذَلِكَ. You will not be, no, in this hadith, Imam Baqir tells Jabir, Jofi, you will not be from our wilayat, you will not be a wali from us until you reach this stage of Iman. Until all people of your city, if they gather together and they say you are a bad person, that you will not be upset. Imagine everyone in your city, in your town, comes and says, this person is a bad person. This person is an evil person. But you know my actions is according to Quran, your own actions are Quran and Sunnah. You will not be upset. That is the strength that we had ulama in history that were like this. The entire world were against them. They would say, these are not superpowers. Allah is the only superpower. They would not be upset or have grief, when people are against them. Because when you realize that your life is for God and is by Quran and Sunnah, then therefore there's no reason for you to be upset. And the hadith also continues, لَوْ قَالُوا إِنَّكَ رَجُلٌ صَالِحٌ لَمْ يَسُرَّكَ ذَلِكَ. And all the people come right now and they say, you're such a good person, mashallah, brother, sister, you're so good, mashallah. You don't become happy with this. You become happy when your life is aligned with Quran, when your life is aligned with hadith of Ahlul Bayt. So therefore these hadith are encouraging us that we should be an influencer of a society. Not that we should be influenced. Either you're going to influence others, and you see a lot of times when you have friends, you see, am I being influenced by them more, or am I promoting? Some people, they ask, is it okay to have friends that are sometimes not religious so much, even non-Muslim, is it okay? And the answer is this: look at who's influencing who. If you are influencing them more and guiding them more, then that's a very good relationship. You're helping them. But if every day you're hanging out with them and you're thinking more of the dunya, you're thinking more of how they're thinking, you're separating yourself more from your pious friends, from the center, then no, that is not a good relationship to have. You should choose your friends, So therefore you see in this hadith that the way our mental attitude that we should have should be in a way that, that fear that you have of society stems from the fact that you want to be, appreciated by them. You want to be accepted by them. But if the hadith tells you, do not look at society, do not look at people, what is important is Allah. That is what is important. When Sayyidah Fatima, you look at her life, she chose Allah's satisfaction over people's satisfaction. The people maybe did not want her to have such a stance. Even today in books of history, when you name Lady Fatima, even in Shia communities, sometimes they're even afraid to have Fatimiyya, because that stance is so strong. Because Fatima, being Fatimi, or for her stance, it was against the Khulafa. They're afraid to even mention it. Her stance was so courageous. So you see that she chose Allah's satisfaction over people's. And this is the problem that we have when you talk about our social obligations to be able to spread Islam, to learn from Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam. It comes from the fact that we really need people. We think we have to have their approval. We do not have to have people's approval. If you think like this, then you're always going to do whatever the status quo does. You're always going to do and normalize whatever society is doing. They might be doing big sins. Do you want to normalize those? No. Your reference should always be the Quran and the Hadith of the Imams. So this gives us courage that, from then on, that we're going to care about society. We want to change society, even if we can't. At least you have that intention, and that intention that you have, you will be rewarded with that attention. In the hereafter, Allah will say, okay, he couldn't change society, but he wanted to. He couldn't, be a supporter of Imam Mahdi. His life was too short, but he was willing, he was trying so hard to get society ready and prepared for Imam Mahdi. So in the hereafter, I'll give him the reward as a companion of Imam Mahdi. Or we have in Hadith, Allah will resurrect some and they'll bring him from the grave, and they will also do raj'at. They will come from the grave, if we have in du'a'at, with their swords in their hands, their lances, and they will prepare to help Imam Mahdi, even if death separates them. Read du'a'at. This says this. So therefore you see that the life of Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam is a life that teaches us not to be indifferent with what society is doing. And we have to, every one of us, think of the best solution. What comes to my mind is to work collectively, come to the center, have this place as your base. You cannot thrive here spiritually, you cannot thrive here intellectually if you're separate from the masjid. You know, in many of our countries that we came from, you see that the masjid is so close that every night they're at the masjid praying together. Every day they're at the masjid praying. If they work, they work at a place where it's close to the masjid dhuhr and asr. If it's close, maghrib and isha. All the time they're surrounded with hadith, with on TV, they're surrounded with the waladat of Lady Fatima. Here, you're not surrounded, you're not being, helped in this way with repetition. So therefore, if you do not come to the centers, if you do not come to these engagements, then you might not hear anything that entire week. You might not have that chance to be influenced by the hadith. Not that it's me speaking or another sheikh that's speaking. It's because these hadith have nur in it. This majlis, this nur that each and every one of you have is anwar, is light. I'm sure that the angels, they appreciate the fact that you're coming here to celebrate the most beloved person that was created, one of the best people that was created. So therefore, they're happy. This is a majlis of angels. This is a majlis that I'm sure that you brothers and sisters, you sincerely enjoy. So therefore, when you come to these masjids, these centers, your light, your heart, just like when you go to ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt, you feel a good feeling afterwards. You feel very charged. You feel good. If you don't have this, it's going to become, that light is going to become dim and dim, especially where we live. So the best way to learn, we can say, from Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam is look at her social stance that she had and the way she said that people were indifferent. This is why they were against Imam Ali. They were indifferent, they accepted misinformation and they were indifferent. They closed their eyes, they turned their faces away to qabih actions, to ugly actions. And hopefully we can learn from her to be able to influence society in a way, to promote justice, to promote walayat of Ahlul Bayt, promote Islam, inshallah, in our countries, inshallah. We ask Allah to guide us, inshallah, and with the nur of Fatima, and for us to love her more and more and more every day, inshallah. We ask Allah sincerely to get the shafa'at of Lady Fatima. We ask Allah for ourselves to learn and be examples like Lady Fatima, the hijab of Lady Fatima, the ifaf of Lady Fatima, the haya of Lady Fatima, the caring and kindness of Lady Fatima alayhi salam, and most importantly, the courage of Lady Fatima alayhi salam that we need so much. May Allah make all of you of the Fatimiyin, inshallah, those that receive the intercession of Lady Fatima. May Allah expedite the return of Imam Mahdi, the great-grandson of Lady Fatima alayhi salam. Make all of us one day see the beautiful governance of Imam Mahdi, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajal farajahu. For all the deceased from your family members, your loved ones, let's recite Fatiha after a Qul huwa Allahu ahad, after a salawat, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajal. If you have any questions, I'm willing to take them as long as they're not hard.